How we doing, Thrivers? We are going to pick up our discussion on braving. And if you remember, braving is the way that we live in reality outside the matrix. That braving stands for boundaries, reliability, accountability, the vault, integrity, non-judgment, and a generous interpretation. Check out my previous videos where we looked at B for boundaries and R for reliability. Today we're going to talk about accountability. We need to be accountable for our actions, and we need to know when to hold others accountable for their actions, or determine if the controllers or narcs in our lives can be held accountable for their actions, and there's a few ways they get out of that. So before we get into that, and you're going to want to stick around, because just like when we played the covert narc quiz, we're also going to have a scenario-based activity to see if you can identify a valid apology, someone taking accountability from some of the protections those narcs use, like projection and deflection. Before we begin, the usual formalities. If you like this if you like this content, please make sure to hit like. It ensures that YouTube pushes this content to others like you who may benefit from it or enjoy it, and only when you can count on me to make quality, entertaining, fun, and informative content should you hit subscribe. And as usual, my disclaimer, I am not a clinician, psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, or certified life coach, although I hope to be one day, and I'll keep you posted on my progress on that. But for now, let's talk about accountability. I know that we credit Brene Brown with braving to begin with, but I went off script a little bit and did some hunting on the internet to see if I could get an easy to understand and definitive definition for the word accountability. And I think I found one that I like. It's simple, succinct, but makes the point. And that's claiming your actions, for better or for worse. So when we make a mistake, we claim those actions, and the way we make up for that is a valid apology and then a marked behavior change. And to me, an apology should have 3 elements. Number 1, when you're apologizing, you should name the specific behavior. So what action did you take that you wouldn't take today that may have affected someone adversely? And then explain the impact. Let someone know you understand the impact of your actions on their life or their well-being or their happiness or any other factor of their life, and then make amends. If you don't have a concrete plan to make amends, let them know that you'll be doing so and that you'll be following up with a plan for the same. So for example, if we're short-fused one night and we happen to snap at somebody, reflecting at the end of the day, we may come back and say, hey, I know that I was really testy yesterday. I did have a stressful day. At the same time, I know it was in the middle of dinner. I feel like I ruined the meal. Moving forward, I am going to check myself at the door and try to be as calm as possible when I have something I need to talk about, so we're never in a position again where we're eating a delicious meal and I'm interrupting it by being a bit snarky. Will that be okay? Valid apology. So again, accountability, claiming your actions. And that's something, sadly, that controlling people at narcs seldom or never do. I'm also wearing my lion necklace because in addition to deflection and projection, as part of deflection and projection, there are also most times lion. What does that sound like? If they've cheated, they didn't, but you must have to even have that thought to begin with. Is there something you need to tell them? That's an example of them projecting their actions onto you. Or in that same scenario, and I think I mentioned this in the previous video, if you do catch an infidelity, the deflection makes it your fault for having seen that text message pop up on that phone that led you to that conclusion and that evidence that there was infidelity. It's easy to escape accountability and easy not to claim your actions when you're deflecting back on somebody else and putting the accountability ball in their court. Make sense? So let's get into our scenario-based activity, and I'm just going to give you a few scenarios. All you have to do, and you can answer A and B in the comments, is indicate which one you think is a valid apology and which one you think is a projection or deflection. Short little exercise, but useful to you so you can recognize these techniques in your own life, see them for what they are, grab that red flag from out of that imaginary quiver, wave it loud and proud, and know that you are subject to controlling people and maybe a manipulation that you're not going to be fooled by anymore. So let's look at our first scenario-based example. So in this case, you may catch that controlling person or narc having spent quite a bit of money on not so much stuff, definitely things outside the budget. Maybe you commingle funds, maybe you manage your money together, and they have some accountability to you in what's spent in the household based on your monthly budget or what have you. So you confront them about it, and they respond one of 2 ways. The first way, you know, that's rich that you're bringing, this is A, by the way. You know what, I did spend that money, but enough about that. What I'd like to talk to you about is why you have us booked for a vacation you know we can't afford. You're here giving me a hard time about money and we're expected to go to Disney at the end of the month? That makes no sense. Is that a valid apology, or is that a projection or a deflection? And then we have B. Mary, you're absolutely right. I spent the money. I know we don't need it. I know times are tough. I couldn't resist myself. Moving forward, I will keep abreast of our bank balances. I will run something past you if it's a big purchase. If I know we have the money, I'll make it. And I am going to pick up some extra hours at work so I can replace what I spent on that item, or I'm going to see if I can return that item so that we're not in this place again and we can make sure our finances are solid moving forward. Which one of those sounds like a valid apology to you? Which one had the behavior, the impact, and the amends? A or B? How about next example? You have simple plans to meet somebody at the movies at a certain time for a certain movie. 10 minutes before, you're settled in your seat, you have your popcorn, waiting for that friend. Text them to check in, see where they're at, don't get a reply. Don't get a reply 20 minutes later, you're through the previews and already under the movie. You figure, you know what? Forget it. I'm here, I paid the ticket, I'm gonna kick back, relax, enjoy the show, and I'll follow up with them later. Turns out, in talking to another friend, you found that they attended a party with that person at the same time they had plans with you, and you want to address that with them. So in asking them, hey, I thought we had plans to meet at the movies. I enjoyed the movie, but I was wondering where you were, and that made me wonder if you were safe or all right. Only to find out you were at a party. What gives? Which one of the following sounds like an appropriate apology? You're absolutely right. I have to tell you, I know I was talking about meeting Steve, and it just so happened I got a last minute invite to that party, and this was the perfect opportunity to do that. And I saw your text, was gonna answer it, got swept up, my phone was in my pocket, and I never responded. I can understand how worried you'd be at the movie. I hope you'd enjoy it. I hope we can still make plans together, and next time, if something comes up, or I'm gonna be delayed, or I have to cancel, it doesn't matter what time it is, I'll let you know, we can go from there. I hope you'll accept my apology. Or B. So you talked to Margaret about me being at that party? So you mean to tell me you went behind my back to one of my friends to find out my whereabouts? So what, are you spying on me? Sounds like you need to explain yourself. Which one of those was a valid apology, and which one of those was a projection or a deflection? And if one of those was a projection or deflection, which one was it? Them projecting their actions onto you, or deflecting to one of your behaviors that they want to spin around so that you have the accountability ball in your court? That's it. Quick, 2 examples. Just wanted to show you how to pick a valid apology or a valid accountability out from those protections, projection, deflection. And remember, in your own life or when you're holding others accountable, make sure that your apology includes the specific behavior, the impact to a party or parties, and how you're going to make amends, even if you don't know how that's going to happen today. In our next video, we're going to be discussing the vault, and that's going to be very interesting, and we're going to talk a lot about trust. In the meantime, Thrivers, have a great weekend and stay up.